look back now over the highlights of today's Monaco Grand Prix. A race that, as ever, provided drama aplenty throughout the whole race distance. Nigel Mansell, one of the visitors here today, and I'm sure that he will be delighted to have seen David Coulthard take another British victory. Mansell himself never did win the Monaco Grand Prix. The closest he came was in 1992, but a late race problem saw him come into the pits, and he finished behind Ayrton Senna. But Coulthard joining a list of British drivers that have taken multiple wins, people like Graham Hill, Jackie Stewart, and of course Sterling Moss, who took 2 victories at the beginning of the 60s. The race start then, and when the red lights went on, it was all about a brilliant getaway for the McLaren. And I tell you what, that car was pretty heavy with fuel. It wasn't light, and yet it still managed to get in front of the Williams BMW of Juan Pablo Montoya. And perhaps that's why Montoya not terribly happy when asked afterwards about the performance of his launch control system. Well, into the race then, it was really the top 4 cars with Ralf Schumacher all involved in the initial dicing, but nobody able to find a little mistake from the car ahead to move through. Michael Schumacher and Juan Pablo Montoya managed to run nose to tail for lap after lap this time, something that we didn't see in the early races of the 2002 season, when often it seemed to go wrong for both of them. Ralf Schumacher in 4th place, didn't seem to have quite the same edge, but normally keeping on that sort of performance edge. Button had problems at the start, dropped back and then had to try and fight his way back up the order. Alan McNish, sadly, was one of the first retirements, clipping the inside barrier at Sandoval and going out of the race. Then we saw more dramas. Mika Salo had some sort of technical problem and let 1 or 2 cars come past him. Sato diving down the inside into the Mirabeau corner, and soon Sato himself was the one in trouble, hitting the wall in the tunnel and hurtling down this steep hill into the chicane. Thankfully, his teammate Giancarlo Fisichella managing to avoid him, and also thankfully Takuma Sato unhurt. Then Bernoldi trying to make the move on Felipe Massa, which he managed, but Massa then locked everything up, pushed him down the escape road at Sandoval, and all that hard work for Bernoldi was immediately undone. Later on it would be the same car and the same corner as the brakes failed on Felipe Massa's car. Before that, we saw an incident for Alex Young collecting the barrier and smoke appearing from the back of Coulthard's car. Massa brought in under a penalty for having made that move, and then Barrichello hitting the back of Kimi Raikkonen's car, almost launching the car in the air. The damage done to the back of Raikkonen's car, but Barrichello was able to rejoin the race with a new front wing. Raikkonen himself eventually was pushed away despite having a chance to get back out. And then Montoya's engine failure, a rare sight this year, but a sight that put him out of a potential podium finish. Coulthard's perfect stop at McLaren, they got him out ahead of Michael Schumacher, and that was enough then for the rest of the race. An incident between Button and Panis unfortunately ended in tears at Sandoval, neither driver making it to the finish. But Coulthard did not put a wheel wrong, despite unending pressure from Michael Schumacher throughout the race distance. And as Adrian Newey watched nervously, it was this scary-looking accident for Felipe Massa. Thankfully, again, he was okay despite brake failure.
Yes, indeed, and that just illustrates the value there. We look at another view of Felipe Massa as he's being assisted by the marshals. It really just establishes the value of all the work that's done in improving the safety here. Another incident, Mika Salo, we think maybe our left front, something on the suspension failed, that caused him to go off into the barrier up at the Mazeney corner.
So both Toyotas were out of the race, and then we saw Barrichello attacking the arrows of Heinz-Harald Frentzen, and Frentzen doing a good job of maintaining that final point scoring position all the way through to the end of the race. A very important final point. Coulthard held off Schumacher to the flag, take his 2nd win here in Monaco.
And really a very fine victory. I mentioned earlier that I think is probably the best victory David Coulthard has achieved in his 12-win career. And their girlfriend Simone, and in fact Kathy Rouget, the wife of Mansur Rouget, part owner of the team, Jürgen Hubert, so much an important part of the Mercedes-Benz involvement with this team, and then David Coulthard. And well, suddenly everybody's a fan of Scotland, of David Coulthard, as David then just gives the champagne bath, but saving a fair amount for himself. The trouble is, of course, champagne, when it goes into your system, which is so adrenaline charged, goes straight to your head. And one of those things, David takes a mouthful and he'll get plenty